Hello, everyone. Dr. Eames here. This time, the topic I'd like to talk about is what is culture? And I'd like to start with this graphic here of what I'm calling the cultural iceberg. This really shows us how much of culture is hidden from our view. If you look at the part of the iceberg there above the surface of the water, it's just a small fraction of the entire whole. And that's probably what we get when we see somebody. Maybe they look a little different. Maybe they're dressed a certain way. Maybe their skin is a certain color. Whatever it might be, we notice something different about them. But those are all superficial details. They don't really tell us anything about the individual. That's what all this large portion of the person is underneath the water, the iceberg, so to speak. That's all that cultural stuff that we've got within each of us. It's our individuality and personality, but it's also our values and beliefs. It's how much we believe in our religion. It's whether or not we love our dog. It's really so many things about our lives. And those sorts of things aren't something that someone can gather just by looking at you. So really, what is culture? We can look at it from a lot of perspectives. But let's just start with culture as a program belief. And really what I'm saying here is programmed. Culture is the collective programming of the mind. Um, Culture is something shared by people, and it doesn't necessarily belong only to one person. It's a collective sort of expression of what you share together. So in the beginning, when we're programmed, it's generally our parents, of course. They give us direction. They tell us what to do and what not to do, direction and correction, if you want. And so this is simply programming us to do what is right in our culture and avoid the things that are not. And at some point, as we grow and develop, we're told what to say and what not to say and so forth. And then we go beyond and start learning culture from our peers and their families and the gatherings that we participate in and so forth as we grow. So this programming is a sort of collective programming that's also done on an individual level. Um, and what makes it so powerful is that each culture is going to have a different way of organizing their life. They might have different assumptions about the family, about gender roles, for instance, and they might also have certain feelings about politics and economics and just humanity in general. So that's culture as a program belief. So we actually do this to each other. Now, culture is hidden programming. Much of what people believe is hidden within them and not revealed. So there we have that cultural iceberg. Not all those beliefs and values that we hold come out all the time. Or we may hold some values very strongly, but they're never really expressed, or we're not in the right situation to express them. For instance, some people are really patriotic, and other people, they're just somewhat patriotic. But one thing people do hold in common when we think about culture as a hidden program is that the way people act culturally is tend to be assumed that this is human nature. And so many people do not understand the basis of culture, and therefore they have zero or little understanding of how cultures work. So we are socialized and we are programmed, and many of us do not realize this is a process of life, no matter where we live in the world. Often the only time we think about our culture is when it comes into contact with another unknown culture and our individual realities collide, and we have a bit of culture clash. Um, and that is what happens when two individuals meet and they cannot understand each other's view of the world and the universe or simply of human nature. And then we could look at culture from the perspective that it is a mental map of our reality. And we're cultured or programmed immediately by our family, but that means that it's learned. It's not innate. It's not something we're born with. So as well, everything in culture is interrelated, and we share it collectively. It provides the context of the lives of which we live in. And then culture certainly is our personal reality, taking it much more individually from each of these other categories. Your personal reality depends on how you view and create that reality. It's the result of how you were socialized as you grew up in life, how you were mentally programmed, and what sorts of ideas and the manner in which you received your programming as you grew up. In other words, your family life has a little bit to do with it as well. So your personal reality also includes tools that you can use to shape your own culture and reality. And these tools are your imagination and your intuition, your empathy, your desires, and the things that you expect, and your creativity, among other traits. So that is how we understand and view culture. Well, that's all I want to talk about this time, folks. I'll see you again soon.